Hi, I'm Gayla. After 20 years of climbing the corporate ladder, I took the leap and started my own business to pursue my dream of creating a work-from-anywhere lifestyle. Having the freedom to work from practically anywhere is such a cool feeling. You're in the right place if you're looking for ideas and inspiration to start and grow your own online business. Every week in this podcast, you'll receive practical ideas, hints, tips, and tricks to help you grow your online business where you can leverage your time and you can accomplish more. You too can experience wonderful adventure and freedom as you live life on your own terms. Welcome to today's show. I am so glad that you're here. You're in for a special treat because today I've invited Eric and Melissa Summerville. They're owners of Squeegee Squad of the Springfield, Missouri region. I first met Eric way back in 2014 as we belonged to the same local networking group. We began working together, and soon Eric, Melissa, and I became very good friends. Over the years, things had evolved with both of our businesses, and although we no longer work together, we stay in touch as we genuinely love our friendship. Now, although with life being as busy as it is, we don't get to see each other nearly as often as we used to. But they are the type of folks that when we get together, we just pick up the conversation like a day hasn't even passed. Squeegee Squad is a window washing business, and as you'll discover and as you'll find out from our conversation, they do more than just windows. I wanted you to meet Eric and Melissa because even though they don't have an online business, they have discovered online tools and resources and have changed their processes over the years to help them grow their business. I find their journey interesting of why they decided to buy into a franchise. And I love how they have learned and are still learning how to blend working with a traditional team as well as a virtual team. It all depends on what the work duties are. Enjoy the episode as you get to know Eric and Melissa Summerville. Let's get right into it. I brought you guys on the show so that we could have a conversation of like your experience and giving my listeners a little bit of a different perspective because you're not an online business. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we go on and what is Squeegee Squad and how you serve the community.
Well, we have been married for 16 years, and my biggest thing for me was I've always been a business owner since I was in junior high, and I have tried working for other people. I've tried sitting and working for other people, and I can work for other people, but sitting is really hard for me, including school. We met in 2003 after a time when I had my own mobile DJ business, and she was working for a rental company that was involved in the wedding industry, so I was involved with the wedding show, and I had that business for, 6-7 years, a little longer maybe. I went to school for broadcasting communication and realized that radio doesn't pay really well, and there is a lot of sitting. Mm-hmm. And so I did the mobile DJ thing where I had a social life by getting paid for it. So I wasn't too upset with that. Then moving down here with a mobile DJ business and going to school was just seemed like a natural thing to do. And then I met Melissa.
And like he said, we've been together since we met in 2003. We have 2 boys, and
the typical city dwellers of Springfield. We have a mortgage and cars and that type of thing. But then at the same time, we also have a business. Melissa has worked outside the business for the last 8 years. Last year, she joined the ranks of Squeegee Squad and handles a lot of the HR and day-to-day tasks that we have, and seems like a pile of, that we're always sifting through.
Always sifting.
Now, Melissa, have you always worked for another company? Is
Yes.
Squeegee Squad the first that...
Yes. I mean, growing up, my mom had her own business in the event industry as an event and wedding consultant, as well as one of the partners in starting a wedding show here in the area. So I assisted her, and then, of course, since then, I have worked for other people.
Was there a shift, though? Because I know that you were working for a university before stepping out into Squeegee full-time. Was there like a transition of like a mindset shift that you had to go through?
I think because, we've had the business together for, since 2010 when we started. And although I wasn't always in the day-to-day activities of it, I was always a part of major decisions and just trying to help figure out how to do things better. I would say there was probably a mindset shift at some point, just realizing that we were going to need to be paying somebody else to take care of tasks that, we knew that I could do. I think once we kind of hit that point of realization that it was time, I think it was just, it kind of felt natural, although somewhat scary to step out of that almost comfort of going somewhere and having a place to work, and then stepping out of that and then taking on the day-to-day activities.
What's different between working for somebody than working for yourself?
One of the advantages of working for yourself is you get paid what you're worth, not somebody else's decision on what you're worth getting paid for. So to me, sky's the limit when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And if you're only making $500 a week and that's your lifestyle and you like it and you love it and you wouldn't want to change anything for it, then by all means. That's not somebody else saying you're only worth $500 a week. Do this. This is the time I want you here. This is the time I want you to leave. If I don't have anything for you to do, I want you to just sit there and look at the monitor screen and look busy. I'm like, yeah. So I don't feel that kind of pressure. I wouldn't respond well to it anyway.
I can see also that would have been scary for you. You had dual income. And you're growing Squeegee Squad, and then now all of a sudden it's like, okay, are we taking the leap? Because we had this...
it's a big leap.
Right.
We had this cushion that you go to work.
Fall back.
Right.
Yeah, and you knew that paycheck was going to be there
Right.
consistently. So there's advantages to both,
Right.
but so it's a scary stereotype thing.
But are there those guarantees when you work for somebody else? That was always the question too. I mean, you never know when you are working for somebody else if they're going to come in and
hand you a little pink slip.
Yeah, downsize or
change positions, and you just never know what's going to happen. So I think part of it for me, whenever it kind of came that time, was knowing that we had more of a hand in determining our future.
Yeah, that's very true. I did work for a company. I really enjoyed the company. I needed something more stable for my family type of thing, and this is before Squeegee Squad. I really just enjoyed it, had benefits, that type of thing. And then 2008, and the recession happened, and they decided to close the plant and move it to Mexico. And a lot of people lost their homes and their livelihoods and that type of thing. And it took about 2 years. It was a scary 2 years.
Yeah, I bet so.
And that's what happened to us. Well, we didn't lose a home, though. I mean, we were very fortunate.
Well, it was a stressful time.
It was a very stressful time.
Stressful. And you've owned Squeegee Squad since 2010?
Well, we started out independently as the Squeegee Guys.
Okay, why windows? I mean, you're a window cleaning company. Why windows?
Well, so 2010 was the end of the recession, and we needed to get back into the workforce somehow, some way. I have always admired the other people that had done windows. They make it look super easy, and I'm like, I can make it look super easy. I tell you what, there's a lot that goes into making it look super easy. It's kind of like the magician. They're like, oh, they did that trick. How they do that trick? I don't know. They made it look so good. I went to Virginia to train to be a high-end residential window cleaner, and I really did enjoy it. I liked the heights that come with it. I liked the activity. I like the different sights. I mean, when you can look upon somebody's beautiful view from a point they can't even see, there's a lot of reward in that. Doing something that they can't do for themselves is just something that you're there. I've always taken on that extra challenge to be able to say, let me see what we can do to get that done for you. And that's pretty much how we built it.
Nice. Then you transitioned from Squeegee Guys to
Squeegee Squad. Yes.
Why make that decision? And I know that Squeegee Squad is a franchise, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and how that works.
So I have, even with my previous experience, I've had people that have worked for me. And in this position, I was not even quite sure how to make sure that this was like the legitimate thing to do. I know when I was out there selling and cleaning, I was working a lot of hours, and I wasn't able to be home with the family. One of the reasons we sold the DJ business, because I wasn't home on the weekends and I wasn't home in the evenings. So it was really hard to think about, oh my gosh, what comes time to retirement? What are you going to do? Because you're a one-man show. Maybe have a couple people help you out here and there, but you're a one-man show. You really need to have a better business model with the fact of hiring employees and how this whole thing works that I really didn't have a great understanding for, that we didn't have a really great understanding for. And we did know about Squeegee Squad before we became the Squeegee Guys. And when I looked at it going like, I don't know where I'm going to be when I'm 50 if I keep doing this, because it's physically rewarding, but physically strenuous on the body, especially as we get older. So we were looking for something that would provide us a better outcome to provide for our health benefits, our health lifestyle, and having employees was about the only way to make that happen.
Basically the business model, having that
structure
and example.
So that's what buying into a franchise does for you? How does that work?
Well, you don't have to have a franchise in order to have employees, obviously. Having the understanding and the know-how, it was just becoming very overwhelming for us to take all of the information, process it, and make something happen. Whereas in a franchise, the process is already set up, and you buy into that process to get your... Not that we couldn't create the same thing in 5 years, but it immediately gave us something right then, or maybe 6 years or 7 years, who knows. But they immediately gave us something right then that we could step into and actually make something from it. So that was the advantage of joining a franchise.
I also think the community that you get with it, like for us, we have a community of other Squeegee Squad owners that we can reach out to with questions, not just the franchise itself, but the actual community within that, and people that have been doing it for longer than we have or have had other experiences before stepping into Squeegee Squad. So being able to glean from them what they've already done to help with different situations that come up.
So do you get... in the purchase of the franchise, like for your example, do you get a geographical area?
We do.
Mm-hmm. And so there's not going to be any other Squeegee Squads overlapping you. So it makes it really nice that you can speak to another franchisee because you're not stepping on any toes.
Exactly.
That's really valuable.
It is. It's been one of the biggest benefits to having the franchise, when you can reach to people out in Florida, what they're doing, or Minnesota, or now Las Vegas, California. There's Squeegee Squads internationally. I have a language barrier with that part, but it's still amazing to see how people can come together to grow their business.
With the franchise, you get branding and
Correct.
probably some resources for getting certain document formats and contracts or
Right.
whatever. I know that you have a software program, but then you can talk with other franchisees on how they make their process better.
Mm-hmm.
Because not necessarily all the systems or the software that's provided to you is perfect. And
There is no software that is perfect.
No.
No software that's perfect.
No. Why is
Although
that?
I feel like if I could just... I could
We need
probably-
we need to start a tech company now.
How have you evolved in building your team? From the very beginning, it was just you, right, Eric?
Yes.
And you were using the franchise's software,
Mhm.
answering the phone,
Mm-hmm.
washing the windows,
Mm-hmm.
Doing
knocking
the
on
estimates.
knocking
Mhm.
on the doors,
Mhm.
doing the estimates,
Mhm.
networking,
Mhm.
all of that, and the bookkeeping,
Mhm.
the oh my
Yep.
gosh, everything.
Yes.
So from that point, how did you transition to kind of where you are today? Kind of paint the picture of what your team looks like now.
Lots of baby steps.
Yeah, and then kind of how.
Peaks and valleys and baby steps along the
Yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
Um,
think if we had tried to just jump from one to the other, it wouldn't have sustained itself very well. But just being able to take those steps and make, kind of build that stronger foundation rather than just jumping
Mm-hmm.
was probably a really big thing.
The crew we have now is amazing. I would have loved to have them even 8 years ago. But what she said is it's baby steps. You're going to learn. I mean, what would you have done if you had that crew right then? The retention is probably one of the biggest things that we're going through right now. We found the crew. Now we're making sure that the retention for that crew is on point, that we're heading in the right direction.
How big is your crew now?
We have 2 crews of 2,
Mm-hmm.
and we have some part-time help that helps us on the side too as well. And then I do go out there. We're always looking for qualified candidates to go out there and clean more windows.
Well, I love that you've transitioned a lot on how you even hire someone. You qualify people before they even
yeah.
come into the to the door.
Oh.
Instead of you chasing folks, you're trying to transition
Yeah.
to
It's been a
have
process.
have people knocking at your door.
Yes.
I mean
Yeah.
that's
That's the key.
yeah. Finding the right team and keeping the right team is, I think, universal problem.
Mm-hmm.
And
True. Some things that we did, we used to pay on a commission basis. Now we do hourly because people are safer with an hourly.
They feel safer.
They do. They feel safer with an hourly knowing that they're going to get that. That also helps me keep my hours down. When they were commissioned, 50, 60 hours was no big deal. I could run it on a good crew. And if someone went out, then that's fine. I'm still, you fit 60, 70 hours in a week. And the kids are young. They're thinking, yeah, I got this. Yeah, I want this. I want as many hours as possible. Well, that's great for about a month. And then they
burn
realize
out.
well, that's a lot. And I'm like, but you said that was a lot to begin with, and you were okay with that. So,
Sometimes you have to save people from themselves,
That's-
though.
oh,
Mhm.
And
that
that's
is
one
true.
of the things we've learned is that even though they say they want the hours, it's too physically demanding for them to sustain having those hours.
hmm
And that's just something that we've had to learn over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing, not even with the commission versus hourly, but the amount of hours that someone thinks that they can do and the amount of hours they can
Realistically.
realistically do.
Have you found that you're a different leader than you were even 2 or 3 years ago?
Oh, absolutely.
Hope so.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I was all about get it done, get it done, get it done. Now I'm like, you know what? I think you just need to go home for the day. Let's not make it so hard to finish something. Let's be more realistic in our expectations. And with an entrepreneur spirit, sometimes we can be unrealistic with our expectations. So harnessing that power and directing it to point you in a direction of winning and against your competitors or against your alter ego can be a huge benefit.
Did you partake in any coaching or classes, or just really analyzing all of your experiences and all of the above? What
all of the above.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
definitely, we have.
We've read books. We've done different courses. We've
certifications, hired
had business consultants. Just connecting with other business owners and trying to find out, what it is they do so that we can try to learn better technique. And
it's also about
everything.
delegating too, like things that we're not good at. I'm not great at accounting. We're not great at accounting. Having a really good accountant is very important.
Yes, it is.
And we love ours.
Good deal.
And so that's a really good weight off our shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And so learning how to delegate certain responsibilities, as in the phone calls or certain estimates that they can get bids online instead of running to every single house out there to get an estimate for, takes away some of the burden that goes on the day-to-day. A lot of it's virtual, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even with the... we don't see the accountant. Payroll gets dropped off, but we don't ever see her.
Yeah, she comes in and out.
Yeah.
And then
It's not like they have to sit down and do their books for, everything's
Right.
online.
Yeah.
So, I've got somebody that's working on moving soft names databases and stuff, but they're doing it from home because a lot of it's just online. So a lot of people that have made phone calls or whatever have done stuff from the
Not
comfort
the
of their
office.
home. Yeah.
Well, and then that can really, when you're evaluating space,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to actually have somebody, you don't have to
No.
provide a desk, you don't
Right.
have to provide that footprint there.
That's right.
You can use any office space or any warehouse space for the equipment,
Yeah.
for what you need and the bare necessities. So that's got to save quite a bit. And you do, you use, what is it, Jill's office?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I remember when you were telling me about that. That transitioned everything.
It was huge. It was so
That was a
huge.
game changer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What is Jill's office, and how was it a game changer?
Well, Jill's office is an answering service, but they are more than that because they know some basics of our business. So they are able to connect with callers and a lot of times give them information. We actually have on our website a place where you can generate your own estimate, but the Jills can actually walk through that with somebody. So if they call in and they want to get an estimate, they can go ahead and take their information and walk them through the process and actually generate that estimate for them while they're on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So do they take all your phone calls during the day, or do you?
About 90% of them.
A lot of them. And not only do they answer calls, but they can actually, they make calls. So they will actually follow up on, previous customers, just, reminding them that it's time to get on the schedule again or just do friendly calls to keep in check. It's been awesome. So with every phone call that they either receive or call out, we get an email with all of the details for that phone call. So that way we can know, if it's somebody calling in and they need to reschedule a service that's on the calendar for that day, we can know right away, like, oh, we need to call them right back and see what we can do. If it's just somebody that's needing an estimate, they'll let us know. We've entered them into the system and got them an estimate, and then we don't have to do anything else, and the system will take care of it.
And then you have your estimates. You used to do those.
Every single estimate that came in, Eric would drive to their house to physically look at it and write them out a paper copy
Old school.
estimate.
Now,
And then he would come back and have to enter it into the system so that it would be in the system.
so now that it's an electronic self-serve, like I go in onto your website and I want to figure out and schedule something, I can do that online.
Mm-hmm.
That process and that transition, did that come through your franchise, or is that something that you learned
No, that
elsewhere?
is not through the franchise. We did hear about it from another franchise. There are quite a few that use this service, and it has been awesome. There were the first little bit of transition there, because you have to go in and get everything keyed in so that it generates an estimate that's correct. And so it took some trial and error to get some of the numbers in there. And so there were a few weeks that were kind of like, somebody's estimate would generate for, $600 when it should have been $200. And you're like, oh no, what did I do? And now that, it seems like, we started it in January. It has been such a huge game changer for us. Now, it doesn't mean that Eric does not go out and give any estimates. There are some certain parameters that are set in place so that if someone keys in a certain thing, it will not give them an estimate. If the square footage on their house is, a certain size, then he wants to be able to go out and look at it personally just to make sure that it that we get the correct estimate for them.
Well, what I hear is that your network through your franchise led you to this, because
absolutely.
That network and becoming friends with fellow franchisees, because you need to. Would you have known that would have worked for you?
No.
Unless somebody else was,
Yeah.
using it. And since you're not in the same market, they're probably way open in talking to you about it.
Exactly.
And putting in any brand new service, any new system, there's bumps.
Oh, yeah.
There's transitions, and you don't know how to use it, and there's frustration and stuff. But now, 10 months later,
yeah. I think the first few months we had it, I was sending messages to the software company on a daily and sometimes hourly basis with questions, and now it'll be months, weeks before I have to send them a question, and then they're always answer very quickly, and it's so awesome. But yeah, there was definitely a time period in there that I was reaching out on a very regular basis.
I think that we've touched on the biggest challenge in your business. I think that would be finding and keeping the right team.
Definitely. And that team is so broad with everybody that we have, not just the team out there doing the window cleaning and power washing, but just like you said, the
team that answers the phone, the team that puts together the packages that was designed through the online system, the team that takes care of the books, the team that takes care of, there's so much more now that we can focus on the customer service part of it, which is what makes this whole thing stick.
Yeah. Well, what has been your biggest reward?
I think our biggest reward is that even though we may put 60 or 70 hours into it, if we want to take a break, or we want to go see our kids' games, or we want to go be part of our family, we can put it on hold.
Don't have to ask permission.
Don't have to ask permission. Don't need to put a 2-week notice in to be like, hey, my kid has a game. I'd really like to go see it. Is there any way I could get off? That type of thing. So it's kind of like that to me has been, I drive my son, my youngest son is 15. I did this with my oldest one now. He was 21, but I would drive them to school. That was our time together. When I was working at 4:30 in the morning, there was none of that.
It's not an option.
And I got to spend that time that I would never get back if I didn't doing that. So spending that kind of time with them. And then, if we have time that we want to go on vacation, I'm not saying you don't get vacation pay and that kind of thing, but you've been there with us as far as taking trips and stuff and having people answer the phone and having it go where we need to, then, usually the trips are to, make sure we know how to do the business right. There is a feeling of freedom that is interpreted differently from any entrepreneur that they get. It's about the freedom to do what you want. Yes, but it's mine was the family. Our biggest thing, one of the things that we had really struggled with is I wanted to be a dad for my kids. I could have made a lot more money doing something else, been working for someone else and doing something else. Doesn't necessarily mean that my kids would have known who I was by the time they moved out. So that was a big thing. Family is my biggest reward. Yeah.
That's even for me this last year, really being fully engrossed in it. I'm not going to say we haven't, butted heads a few times, but I do thoroughly enjoy being able to work side by side with Eric on a daily basis.
Very good. Did you have a favorite resource or a book that really had made a difference in growing your business?
Go ahead.
Well, I've read a lot of Patrick Lencioni books, and I'm a fan of his writing and his work on leadership and teamwork. So I would strongly recommend that anybody look into him as an author and dive into those.
Mm-hmm.
Author and his fables.
Yes.
I agree. She got me turned on to those, and they are good to listen to or to read. Each time you do it, it's something different, even if it's the same book. So that one was huge for both of us.
The Ideal Team Player is one that I think is really good. I would probably recommend that one as at least one to get started with his work.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll put links into the show notes so that folks can go right to it. Do you have any advice that you would give to anyone that wants to start their own business?
Sometimes you have an idea and you don't know how to implement that idea. The biggest thing is not to overthink the idea.
Really?
I know it sounds so simple, right?
But I get you, because we get
you
into
can
our
spin.
own
Yeah.
way. We get in our own way if we overthink.
We do.
That's very true.
Don't get in your own way. That's one of the things that we've learned about having employees is not letting them get in their own way of and if they did and they can't realize it, then it ultimately doesn't work out anyway. Sometimes you just got to step in and do it. So they're like, well, I might try this or I might try that. And sometimes you just have to give it. When you do give it your all. And there will be bumps and there'll be bruises and you won't have every single answer and nothing will make sense sometimes. But faith is part of it. You have to have faith in what you are doing and why you believe that this is the road you should take, because you don't always know how it looks.
I would also say, sometimes just breathing, because you will be overwhelmed and there will be times that you just don't know what to do. And I think sometimes, even for me, it's just taking a step back and maybe even going outside for a few minutes and just taking that time to just breathe and kind of come back to, okay, why am I doing this? And what is it that I need to focus on right now?
Yeah. Even when we're training somebody and they're really trying to figure out how to use a squeegee, you're thinking, oh, it's simple. I use a squeegee. Usually the first time they use it, they're great with it. Then they start overthinking it.
Aha.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, obviously we have these obstacles now we need to get over. And sometimes I just have to remind them to breathe through the motions. You have to be able to breathe if you're and relax the shoulders a little bit. Don't try to handle it so hard. The pressure is very balanced with the art of cleaning a window. It's okay to walk away from it, because I've had to, and when I come back from it, I find out that it's a lot easier to do. And I'll let them know the same thing. I'm like, I understand. Now take a 15-minute break. We'll come back and do it again. All of a sudden, things start clicking. I'm like, what's going to be really amazing? In about 2 days, you're going to go, what? Seriously, I was overthinking everything.
Great piece of advice. Now, how can people reach you or find you?
Online at squeegeesquad417.com. Squeegee is a very fun word to spell. Squeegeee. Squeegeee. Squeegeesquad417.com. You think that might be silly, but I've seen I've had people work for me that spelled it wrong. So I'm like, okay, this is.
I love spelling squeegee, and it's kind of like spelling Mississippi.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Do I have all the S's? Do I have all that? It's fun to say, harder to spell, but it is a fun word. And then phone 417-522-9220. 417-522-9220. Those are the best ways to reach us.
If you're in the Springfield, Missouri area and you need windows on your business,
yes,
in
commercial and residential, we do window cleaning, gutter cleaning, and power washing.
Awesome.
We do it for residential and commercial. We do restaurants, their dumpster areas, their sidewalks, to keep their sidewalks look nice for their guests.
And it does make a difference on your professionalism so much.
Well, I know for me, whenever I go in and I think if this place doesn't care about keeping this part clean, that I can see
what's going on behind the
what's
scenes.
going on where I can't see, and do I want to be here?
Right. And you serve the Springfield area, Branson?
Yes.
What area?
We serve Olive Green, Christian, and Taney County, and we do service some in Stone.
Wow, good deal. There's a lot of windows out there.
There are a lot of windows.
We don't have so many skyscrapers
We
here.
don't have so many of those here. That is correct.
I've done some drops here. Farmers Park here when they're post-construction clean. We got to do that. It's only 3 stories, but it was a lot easier to drop. We had her with a hard hat on and helping me over the sides.
Yep.
So drop
over the side of the building.
On a rope?
Yeah,
on a rope.
On a rope.
My gosh.
Yeah. And we also, as far as gutter cleaning, some of the pitches of these roofs have gotten so crazy that we still harness
and they're
off.
so high that you...
Yeah, we take safety. Safety is a big thing. You can find some kid from your church that might do it if you feel comfortable, but we're trained and certified to know how to hook in, go down and take care of your situation.
We need some of these Colorado rock climbers to
love
rock climbing, but are
actually
here in
one
Missouri.
of our guys is a rock climber, so that was one of the things that drew him to apply for a position with us, is because he loves to rock climb, and so he was like, hey, I would check this out, and he's been awesome.
Yeah, if you're in the Greene County area looking for a job and love the outdoors.
Outdoors are good.
And love just being out and about in nature and not sitting in a cubicle somewhere.
Right.
You need to get onto squeegeesquad417.com.
That's right.
And
there's
send in an application because once you have an application in and you're on file, get a relationship with Eric and Melissa, because you never know when there's an opening.
That's right.
All right. Any last words?
No, I just appreciate the time today.
Yes, this has been great.
Thanks so much for being with me today. It was
Thank
a pleasure.
you for having us.
Thank you.
I do hope you enjoyed today's show. What was your biggest takeaway? My biggest takeaway was the reminder of the importance of relationships and taking the opportunity to get to know folks who belong in the same groups that you belong to. You don't have to know all of them, but a few key relationships or friendships could open up worlds for you. Eric and Melissa are a part of a franchise, which awards them with branding and some tools, but they discovered the real treasure was building relationships with other Squeegee Squad franchise owners in different regions of the country. They can compare and share challenges and wins when it comes to anything from finding the right people to do the job, training the staff, even equipment, the market differences, and online scheduling and bidding tools that puts some automation in their process. Now, if you're in the Springfield or Branson, Missouri region and need windows washed, power washing, or gutter cleaning, hop over to squeegeesquad417.com and you can get a quote right online. All their contact links and some of the resources that we discussed right there in the episode, all those links will be in the show notes. Now, if you found this show helpful, I would be so honored if you'd subscribe. And when you subscribe in your favorite player, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, you'll get notified when the next episode is available. Well, thanks for listening, and until next time, have a fantastic week.